Well, I've got a rather interesting report to share with you guys today. Just yesterday, Kamala Harris went on with Fox News' Bret Baier, and the entire interview was a complete disaster. And not a disaster for Bret Baier, but in my opinion, a complete disaster for Kamala Harris. And I'm going to really prove my point. But there was something that happened at the very end of that interview that I believe a lot of people missed. In fact, no one yet has been talking about this fact, and I can't wait to share with you what I'm talking about. But before I dive in, just a quick break from my sponsor. Well, folks, the FBI calls it house stealing. And this is something I have been warning about here on my channel for well over a year because it's such a huge problem. Scammers can transfer your home title, take out a loan in your name, and leave you with nothing but an emotional and financial disaster. If you own a home or real estate, then it is absolutely critical that you protect your property and equity from these types of criminals. And in fact, I know of no better way to do that than by checking out HomeTitleLock.com. If you haven't checked it out before, now is the time. And the good news is they are giving away to my listeners 30 days free of Home Title Lock's triple protection, which includes 24/7 monitoring of your title and also urgent alerts if anything changes. And most importantly, restoration of your title if there is any fraud whatsoever. And all you have to do is enter the promo code Lisa right there in the coupon section you can see on the screen. But protect your home equity and even your peace of mind right now with HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com. If you want more information, click that more button if you're on your cell phone, or click the link in the description box below. All right, back to the broadcast. So let's dive into first what went on in this interview. And I'm not going to, go through the entire thing. It wasn't very long. In fact, I want to start with the fact that the interview was supposed to start around 5 o'clock their time. And it turns out Ms. Kamala Harris was late by 15 minutes. And then obviously they also cut the interview very short. In other words, there was a lot of tensions flying even before she arrived there to do the interview. But either way, things absolutely played out, I think, in our favor. Take a listen to what happened in this first clip.
They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about.
I honestly don't know what she's talking about either. I don't think anybody did, but needless to say, she didn't answer the question yet again, even if I played the full clip at that point. She just gets into Donald Trump and how somehow the last 3.5 years is his fault. I've never heard such a deranged statement. Not only that, but here's another clip of her with, Bret Baier. And he literally addresses Joe Biden's cognitive state and asks her, how come you didn't say anything about this to America? Take a watch.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
But you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump.
So again, her answer, Donald Trump It's like her answer to everything is Donald Trump's a bad man. So she basically says that Joe Biden is coherent, but yet he's not on the ballot anymore, and we need to focus on Donald Trump's state. I mean, this woman is absolutely obliterating the entire interview. In fact, it gets worse, and she starts actually pointing her finger at Brett Baier at one point. And by the way, what she says about Donald J. Trump in this clip, it's just absolutely false. Take a listen.
He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
There you have it. Donald Trump never said anything of that nature. If anything, he was referencing the illegal acts and the illegal immigrants that are coming into our country. But yet, they continue to sow all this discord. You shouldn't say things like that about anyone, but here she is literally trying to stir the pot with her people. And these are very terrifying acts. And I feel like she's trying to scare her entire group just days before the United States election by even stating something like that. Now, there's other things. I mean, basically the entire interview, they were interrupting each other. I'm going to be kind of even on that side. But she was a wreck to the level of, at the very end of the interview, and this is really what everybody missed about that interview, at the very end of the interview, something massive happens. And you may have noticed it. However, I'm going to give you my assessment of what happened, and that's what everybody missed. But here's what happened at the very end of the interview and why they cut it down. Take a watch.
Brain injuries and
Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have
there,
much more
there
to
are
say,
a lot of
actually.
things that people want to learn about you and your policies,
Yes.
and that's why we
I invite
you
everyone
here.
to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
And that's why
intend
we
to do to
invited you
strengthen
here
our economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
support America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam President, you're telling me to wrap you up here. All your people are out there. In fact, he expanded on it after the interview. Take a watch.
Dana, you've been on the other side. You've been on the rapper as a press secretary interviewing a president. And, you know, I'm talking like 4 people waving their hands like it's got to stop. So, Martha, I had to dismount there at the end. There's so many things, and she maybe should do more of these.
He had to dismount there at the end because Kamala Harris was being summoned by like 4 people from her administration or her handlers, shall we say. Now, here's the part that everyone missed. Is she not the Vice President of the United States of America? She is. And yet, here she is being directed and guided by a group of 4 handlers who are literally telling Brett Baier, without her input, by the way, cut it, be done, it's over. This is supposed to be a woman who is running, by the way, now for the most powerful position in the entire country. In the entire country. She is now the second most powerful person, or is supposed to be, in the entire country. And here she's letting her handlers tell her what to do and when to leave an interview. She had every right to sit there and say, you know what? No, I'm gonna stay in this interview. I want to work this out and do what I got to do. Or she could have stopped the interview herself and said, hey, I'm done with this interview. Let's go. Instead, Her handlers directed her what to do. And I haven't really heard anyone bringing this point up. The truth of the matter is Kamala Harris is being directed by a group of handlers, whomever they are, right? There's been times where she's had things in her ears, listening to directions given to her by her handlers. She's been given teleprompters, things to say at places that are supposed to be impromptu and on the spot, like these town hall meetings. There is someone, a majority of time, either through a teleprompter or in her ear, directing her and telling her what to do. She isn't leading things, just like Joe Biden wasn't leading things, maybe for a little while. But in the end, his cognitive ability declined so much that everybody started noticing. And see, that's why I think they picked Kamala Harris, because they knew that they can control Joe Biden, whoever those handlers are. And they know that they can control Kamala Harris. So instead of picking, say, a Gavin Newsom, who is a stupid, smart liberal, shall we say, an actual smart liberal, because Newsom can actually think for himself. I think that's why they never picked him. And that's why they went straight to Kamala, because they wanted somebody they could control. As much as I hate Gavin Newsom, and the guy would completely destroy America with his leftist radical policies, he at least has a brain to think. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that if he implements this policy, he's going to get this effect. But Kamala Harris is listening to her handlers, just like she did the interview with Bret Baier. How can the most powerful woman, she's supposed to be the most powerful woman, right? She is. She's the vice president, highest woman there. And she's listening to her handlers. This is insane. This is really insane, but they didn't allow... That's why they didn't pick Newsom yet again. Because Newsom, again, I hate him. He has a brain. But Kamala, and here's the other part of that. She was never elected by Democrats. She was selected by those handlers at the very, very top. They want her in power because they can control her. And I think that's the most powerful point that everybody overlooked in that particular interview. And mark my words, I'm going to be paying attention more and more to what she's doing on a daily basis. And I have been for quite some time. But the woman is in severe decline when it comes to our election. It doesn't look like she's doing good poll-wise. However, please mark my words, vote early. This is not a red win for us. This isn't going to be a red wave. We're in some serious trouble no matter what. So please make sure you bring friends and get out there and vote and make your voices heard. Anyhow, with that, I'm going to be doing a huge extended report on Restricted Republic. You're going to want to see it. So I really hope to see you over there. And for those of you who are currently on Restricted Republic, I love you all as well. You guys all mean the world to me. Anyhow, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.